Oh yeah. My grandkids can navigate through my iPad a lot better than I can. That's a great
Yes, right.
Go sit down. Okay, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good.
Good. Healing
Good,
is
good.
slower than I would like, but
Yeah.
it's coming. Coming.
Put that mic away. So can you handle that for a while?
How do I turn it up and down? Okay. Are we good to go? Great. Well, welcome to Adult Ed this morning. We have asked a couple people to share, a lot of people from the sewing ministry, and then also Meals on Wheels, and we might even have a couple other announcements to add to that. But we're glad to have our sewing team here, and they're going to take it away, Judy, and she's going to go through some things and tell people who needs to talk.
Okay. Hello, I'm Eileen Wood.
Eileen. I'm sorry, I called you Judy.
Good morning. I'm Eileen Wood, and the reason I'm up here is because Pat has always been the leader of Peaceworks, but when she had to take a recent time off for health reasons, she was looking for somebody to fill her shoes, and we decided that nobody was willing or able to do that. So I said I could help with organizing. So I came up with a plan where we could divide up the work that Peaceworks does. So that if anybody has that sheet, it shows how we divided up the leadership. And so the first one today will be Glory House, which Julia Lufkins does a lot of the work for that, but Hilda is our deacon, so she is also going to be speaking on that because Peaceworks works with the deacons on this. Hilda?
All right, I'm Hilda Bosch, and Julia's going to kind of help me here and show you what we do for the Glory House. It's part of a deacon's project, and every 2 months we give out 4 packets of items that go to the Glory House. And so Julia's going to show us what she puts in them. And first of all, it will be a pillowcase, and we usually make a set of pillowcases. And so we have quite a few people that are willing to sew the pillowcases. We do it in our room, but sometimes people like to take their items home and sew for them. So inside this pillowcase then will go certain items. And so one of them will be washcloths that we make. And then we put in a bag that they can use to just take to the grocery store or something like that and put items in. We make coasters. We put in a set of 2 coasters, and then pot holders. And we also do little scrubbies, and those are really handy for items when you need to clean your dishes really good. And we also have a little bag there that's for personal items. And so we make that in the sewing room too. We make all of these things in the sewing room, or we have people take them home and make them, and that's kind of fun too. We have placemats that go in there. And then we have microwave potato bag holder, or you can cook potatoes in that. And then we also have a microwave bowl that we put in there. And let's see what else we have here. Oh, a remote control holder. It goes over the couch or your chair, and you can just stick items in there when you're watching TV or whatever. Yeah, a bathroom caddy, if people would like to use that. And then we also make what, a dishcloth kind of thing, but it's kind of, you put it over your head, and then you have things on either side that when you're cooking, it's handy for you to just wash your hands or whatever. So anyway, all of these items we make. If you're interested in any of them, we can certainly help you out with that. And yeah, and we also put in a devotional, and this month we put in a little Lent devotional also. And then the foster care program, we have bags that Linda Hart makes, and they're all kinds of different material bags, and these are for the foster kids. There's quite a few kids every month that go into the foster care program, and when they go, they don't have anything that they can take with them. And so instead of having all kinds of, you can go to the foster care program, they have a closet there where they can pick clothes out. Instead of putting them in a plastic bag, a trash bag, we have these that we make then. And then the kids can put their clothes in here, and it's better. And then the bags are made so that they're big enough for a pillowcase, so they can always take it with them. It is theirs. So that's what I have. Judy, I believe Judy's next. Thank you. Oh, are there any questions? Okay. Oh, that is part of the deacon program. Yes, we give dishes. It'll be like 2 plates, 2 bowls, 2 cups. We give silverware, usually a set of 2, and we give towels and washcloths and things like that. They all go in a laundry basket, and then we give that to the Glory House too. So on top of that laundry basket with the deacons fill with items, then we also put in the pillowcase that has been filled with the items that we make, and so give that to them too. Yes, and so it's 2 a month, so 4 every 2 months. So. Yes.
And this program began for them when we had 2 people from the Glory House who were in recovery tell us, what do you need? And so after, we found out that for 3 weeks, they're in their new apartment with nothing. So this gives them something to get started with. And so from that, I felt called to work with the people on the street. And I did the same thing. I went around and said, what do you really need? What could we make for you? Or what do you need? We already know that Anya and Dawn provide, and the church provides that $900 as well as meal for 150 to 200 people. But what I found out is most of the people that we were helping with Laundry with Love were not homeless. These are the working poor. And we found out a half of the shelters are filled with working poor. And so one of the things they kept over and over again was saying, but I don't have any bags. Because most of those that are either in a working situation, their housing does not always provide them with any place. So as much as half of Dudley is working poor. And so they can only have one little bag. Most of them have backpacks. But what we found was when they go to move out or they move on, there's nothing to put things in. So in the laundry program, we began with just little bags for the kids. And these are made by Linda Hart. She just takes scraps and makes little bags. But soon I found out that people were putting their wash at Laundry and Love, were putting it into dirty bags. They brought them in. So I said, So my first project was somebody gave me about enough to make these laundry bags. Now, you think, well, gee, why would they need their? We have family coming in with as many as 8 children. They need something more sturdy. And those who are particularly transient, move between, they wanted something that they could have. And so from that, I started making all kinds of bags. They typically like bags.
I'll hold this while you use your
Okay, so I talk with my hands. And so they said to us, could I just have a nice bag that I could put my laundry in, that I can hang up and then throw things in? And I said, yeah, but it means it's going to have to be heavy. And so from that, any material I could get, I made into bags. Laundry with Love is twice a month. I make 25 bags, and they're gone every week. That's because, only 12 loads are allowed. But 7 o'clock the other night, we had 20 people show up with nothing to put their clothes in. Now, we have used the cotton ones, but the cotton ones tend to rip. And First Lutheran makes those. Those are the ones with the handles over them. But we found out that people wanted both. And so what I do is simply work with Peaceworks, and now I'm working with design studios, with furniture stores, all of that, to get free material, because this material can be as much as $18 a yard. You just can't afford that. And I found, at upholstery shops, Staley's, I found at Collins a huge desire to be helpful. So no, we're looking also outside, even though we're financed, from the deacons. Thank you. Oh, any questions? I'm sorry. Oh, you can join me anytime. I need more sewers.
Hi, I'm Shirley McCallum, and my chief occupation in Peaceworks since I started has been to loom hats. I had never done this before, and so I had to have some expert help from Pat Bowman and Hilda Bosch, and they taught me how to do it. I'm still not sure I'm 100% great and outstanding at doing it, but I have made over 100 regular hats and probably about 60 or 70 baby hats since I started last fall. So I've been very busy, but it's an easy project, and I sit at home while I'm watching TV or whatever, and I just loom hats. And so I wanted to show you, we have the hats over there, but I wanted to show you. Okay. When I first started, I borrowed a loom from the church. And then my husband said, well, if you're going to be doing this all the time, we're just going to get you looms of your own. And so we went online and ordered looms. So they're kind of all stuck together here, sorry. The biggest loom is for the adult hat. And this is a hat in progress. And it's a pretty easy project. You loop the yarn around each thing, and then you take it off each round, and eventually you have a hat like that. The next smaller size is for maybe a small teen or a grade school child. And then we have a loom that is for a toddler. And this is the one that makes the baby hat. The baby hats go to Sanford, mostly Sanford and some to Avera. These are for babies that are born premature and maybe need to stay in the NICU for a while, and they like to keep their heads warm so that their body temperature stays stable. So these are quick and easy, like half an hour and I'm done with it. This one, not so much. And so I told Hilda and the gals the other day, I said, sometimes I just have to make a few baby hats to see my progress and say, yay, I got a hat done, so that when I have to do one of these, it's not such a big deal. But it's a fun project, and if you want to do it, I'm sure we can find a loom for you.
When I started, one of the first things I did is I had a person from my last, where we were in Waterloo, Iowa, give me 15 sets of these. And so we have some to give you if you want to use them.
I forgot to show you, this is the hook that we use, and we, so if we have then we just hook under this yarn and pull it off each thing as we go around. So it's a fun project, and I enjoy doing it. But, where did I put my paper? We can always use yarn donations. Oh, where did my paper go? I had my, what was that? Kathy asked where we get our yarn and if we're picky about what we get. Well, when I started, I had inherited a lot of yarn from my mother and my sister who passed away. And so my husband was saying, maybe you should try to use up some of that yarn that you've got sitting in the storage room downstairs. So I did that, and then other people have donated yarn. We have probably 3 bins of yarn in the Peaceworks room. And then some people just go to Walmart and buy their own yarn, or go to Joann's and buy their own yarn and donate that. We aren't real picky about what we get. We can't use cotton yarn with these. It has to be the acrylic. And it's better if there's not wool in it, because a lot of these, they wash these, and so it's better if there's not wool content in it. And for some of us, wool makes us itchy when we're working with it too. So, but donations are always appreciated. Anything else? Okay.
Watch your step there. We've got some cords.
I'm going to just touch on a few of the other projects that we do. There's quite a few different ones. One is Family Connections, which is a social services organization. But one of the things that we were asked to do is to make capes for the kids to play. We made a couple like this, and a Batman 1 or 2 that they can play with, and then also doll clothes for the dolls that they have there. And if anybody is interested in making doll clothes, that's something that we don't have people that specialize in that. And okay, so we don't like to do that. So if anybody, thinks they'd like to do that, we know what the sizes would be and stuff. So let us know. Also, Lois Stanfield was in charge of a couple different areas, but we're kind of filling in for her because she wasn't able to come. But some of the things that they do is make things to go in the giving room. I don't know if you're all know about that. But anyway, some of the projects that we make are fidget blankets. These are for people, either Alzheimer patients or children that have autism or things like that, where they need to have touching, feeling things. And so they're quite a project that some people are really good at, and then I'm not. So then there's other walker bags. Okay, so we were asked to make bags that would hang on a walker. And we have also made like wheelchair arm bags, and we actually made some catheter bags for someone that requested that. And then there's, oh yeah, sometimes we've made blankets that would be in the giving room for somebody that might need that special care. And then also teddy bears and blankets, little blankets that would go with a teddy bear. And then bibs and burp cloths are some more of the things that we make that would go in there. Yeah, so those are receiving blankets. Yep. Okay. Yes, teddy bear Dan, these do. And then I'm trying to keep it short because there's still so many different things, but I'm trying not to get too deep into things because we could just talk on and on. There's some other things we do, special projects just for the church, different things like we have made decorative things for the sanctuary or the pulpit. Sometimes Sunday school projects like the kindergarten pillows and placemats that they've used for the kids to make. And we've repaired a few gowns, put a pocket in for Pastor Pat so she could get at her microphone. And sometimes we're asked to repair things that have a rip in them. And then recently I made a table covering for the bells choir that one of the tablecloths needed to be done. So we just, sometimes it's just people ask for things and we'll, they say, is that something you could do? And we'll think about it, and quite often we can put our heads together and come up with something. And now I'm going to turn it over to Pat to finish up.
Well, yesterday we had a big project. We did the blankets, the tying of the blankets. It's taken all month to get the blankets cut. We had lots of people that came in and helped cut the fringe. And then yesterday, all we did was sat and tied. We had an easy peasy day yesterday. But we had 19 blankets cut. We finished 14 of them. I had 12 women there helping, and we finished 14 blankets yesterday. And we have 5 of them down here that need to be finished. So if anybody wants to take one home and tie the knots on it, we will. We were working on them, and the gals from the hospital, Sanford, where we take them, say they appreciate what we do because our knots are loop knots, not tied knots, not square knot. Yeah, thanks. Because the women that get these, they're sore under the arms and things, and so when they get the blanket and it's tied in a loop, it's softer and easier against the skin. And one lady told me that received a blanket one time. I appreciate it because they don't have the hard knots on them, and so that was one of the things. So they say they don't appreciate the other groups that do their knots because they're all square knots, and so they like ours best. I'm also going to talk about other fleece projects we have. We do for, okay. All right, you follow me around. These are scarves out of the corners of the blankets. We have all these little scarves that are squares, and we were wondering what to do with them. We sew them together, and it makes a warm scarf for somebody in the winter time. Plus, I'm coming back. Hilda came up with this. This is a fleece hat, and this is from scraps of fleece too that we've had, and so we've made these out of the fleece too. So those were some of the things. The average per that they need for blankets a month is between 10 and 13. So our 19 that we'll deliver this week will just take care of maybe a month and a half of a blanket, not even that. So that's how many Sanford puts out every week or every month, and so that's where the blankets go. So, and they only give them to people that are having chemo. So, any other questions? Cheryl wants to talk too. And Gary had a question. Gary.
Yeah. I was wondering, going back to the Glory House, how many of those packets do you give out a month?
That they're average to, it's people that are moving out of Glory House and into an apartment. It's a graduation gift. Yeah. So.
Because it takes 3 weeks for them to get furniture.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Skip.
Do you throw your scraps away or do you physically put your scraps?
Oh, you know. I'll give it to Cheryl.
Okay, I'm kind of an anomaly or something, and however you say it. I joined sewing, and I don't sew. So one of the jobs I have that I love so dearly, and they all know I love it, is we make dog bags too. And so all the scraps, we cut them up into small pieces, and we put them in a t-shirt, an old t-shirt. They cut the neck and the sleeves off, and we put all those scraps in there and sew it together, and we take the dog beds to the Humane Society, correct? And so that's one of the things I do, and I also knit like Shirley does. I knit the hats. But I have to say that one day I was cutting fabric and happened to slice my finger, and they all said, ha ha, now you're one of the sewing group members officially. So anyway, I really enjoy it, and like I said, I don't sew, but I surely enjoy the company and try to do what I can.
Shirley, did you want to say? No, nothing gets thrown away in our room, nothing.
I forgot to say where we send all these hats and what happens to them. They go to St. Francis House, and they're used to in their distribution for Keep Kelloland Warm. Some of them that I did this year also, I did for Active Generations, and they went to some of the schools, directly to some of the schools. And yeah, they go to church on the street as well. I had a piece of paper that I had everything written down on, and I lost it somewhere, but I'll try to remember. We contributed over 180 adult and teen hats to St. Francis House. We contributed over 100 hats to Sanford for the babies. And we also gave some scarves and gloves that were donated or made by us. So all of that went to St. Francis House for their delivery. And the first time that I delivered the first batch of hats, the lady that finally came out to talk to me about it, she just looked so frazzled. And she said to me, "How did you know?" And I said, "How did I know what?" And she said, "How did you know that I gave out my last hat yesterday and I needed more hats today?" And so it was just such a neat God thing, that, we were there right when she needed it. So it's a wonderful ministry, and I can't even imagine being homeless especially and not having anything to help keep yourself warm. And I think the hats, it's just, they say you got to keep your head warm to keep the heat from escaping. So it's just such a neat thing that we can do for other people. So,
Anybody else from Peaceworks going to speak today? Are you going to leave these here so that when class is over, people can come up and actually look through things and ask questions? Thank you. That would be great. Yes, and Judy wants to say, I didn't call you Eileen.
That, Pat said she'll go like this when I go too long. You can't stop a preacher. I want you to know that you do not have to have a skill. When I began this, I couldn't sew. Pat taught me how to sew. That's why we have these times where we have the kids come. But anybody that has some free time and is willing to do something for someone else, we have a project for you, and we'd like you to join us. That's it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, I think we're going to be hearing from Diane now. Sally, are you going to introduce Diane? You have something? And we'll put the lavalier mic on her so she can. Okay. Will your papers go up there?
I am so amazed by what Peaceworks is doing. I had no idea all of these things are going on. It's just like Santa's little workshop, isn't it? Okay, now we're going to hear from Diane Helen, and she's going to tell us about the Meals on Wheels program, which is another really important ministry in our church.
Didn't do that. Okay. Do you want to try it? Which one? Well, the one that's hooked to you. Just say testing, testing. Testing, testing. Is this good? Yes, yes. All those with hearing aids, is this good? Thank you. I've been doing Meals on Wheels ever since my Emily was a preschooler, and she's 48 and a half now. And I don't remember the year, but I remember how I got hooked into driving or doing Meals on Wheels. A friend called me up one day and she said, will you help me? She said, I'm doing Meals on Wheels and I need another person to run the meals in. And she had 2 preschoolers, and so she didn't want to leave them alone in the car necessarily while she ran up to the door. And so she told me about it. She said, the clients, she said, they're just like little birds waiting to be fed. So that's always been my visual. And I think of that at certain clients' homes still. So that's when the senior center was downtown. And so we would put the 3 little kids in the back seat, and we would go down there and pick up the meals and get ready to go on our route. And we'd drive through McDonald's, and we would buy 3 Happy Meals. And they were happy, and they were, you know, they knew each other well, and they had fun eating their Happy Meals and so on. And that was the beginning of my years with Meals on Wheels. I want to read something from the coordinator at Meals on Wheels. Her name is Samantha. The Meals on Wheels program provides a hot, nutritious noon meal to persons aged 60 or older who are homebound and are unable to prepare meals independently. Our mission is to give our aging participants nourishment, resulting in faster healing, shorter hospital stays, and the ability to remain in their homes longer. The meals are prepared in the Active Generation's main kitchen, and they're packed by volunteers. On a daily basis, they have an estimated 580 plus meals that are delivered to homebound seniors. Each weekday, they need over 125 volunteers to pack and deliver meals throughout the Sioux Empire. Looking for my number 2 sheet. We have, I don't know how we got started as a coordinated group of FPC volunteers. I don't remember when that happened, but that's where we are now. First Presbyterian Meals on Wheels, Route 6, so we call ourselves Team 6, has a very long history and has dozens of committed volunteers. There are a few people here today who have driven in the past, and some that are still driving, and for that we are grateful. The drivers and runners commit to delivering meals on a specific day each month, year-round. They bring meals to the homebound clients every weekday but holidays. That's when the center is closed. Also, as can happen in the winter when we have snow days, school closes, the center closes, and we don't deliver. Currently, Team 6 is made up of 31 volunteers. Each volunteer, like I said, delivers the same day monthly, though several actually do it more than once a month. A number of us do. Many FPC volunteers have been delivering for many years, and some are new to the program in recent years. Also, we're able to trade days, find a sub within the group. I now have a group email, and that's how we communicate, and that's worked really well. I used to, you remember Jack and Marnie Schaffer, and when Jack got sick, then the Schaffers couldn't deliver anymore, and they had been delivering for years. I remember Marnie said at one point, someday you're going to be delivering to us. But she was my right hand for a number of years. In November, she would take our list of volunteers, and she would see you at church on Sunday, and she'd walk up to you and say, you're going to do it next year too, right? She just didn't give people any choice in the matter. But and then those that she didn't see in church, she called on the phone, and then she'd give me the list, and we'd be off for another year, off and running, so to speak. I want to tell you who's volunteering now. In the past year or two in the past, I have actually listed the names and written a thank you or whatever, so that you all would know who's out there doing it, and hopefully then you'll want to do it too. The people that we have delivering now are Joe Erickson, Sue and Bob, and Dennis helps her if necessary. Sue and Bob Tower, Charisse Kelleher, Joyce and Carl Vanderlucht, Angie and Gail Nelson, Ruth and Rod Perry, Ann and Jerry Weflin, myself, David Larson. Pam Kepsel has been on our sub list for years and wants to stay on there, and if she gets enough notice that someone needs her as a sub, then she'll try to work that out with her work schedule. Pam Fgrave, Candace and John Ulmer, Jean and Tom Nicholson, Warren DeCoo. I'll say something about Warren again later, actually. Kay and Greg LaFollette, Sharon and Ron Small, Sue Holmes, Ruth and Bob Metcalf, Kathy and Dave Winter. And they just started in January, the Metcalfs and the Winters. So they've delivered twice so far. And then we have one who's not a member of First Presbyterian, and her name is Bridget, and she used to work in the office of Bob Wrights, who was a dentist, and Bob and Mary were members here. And when Mary retired, she moved down to Arizona where their daughters lived. But Bob stayed in practice a few more. He wanted a few more years of fishing and hunting, I heard, before he closed down his dental practice. But he had been delivering for quite a few years. It was always on the fourth Friday. And he took Bridget with him. He probably used her as the runner. He probably did he had his staff not schedule at that time that he needed to be gone on that Friday, and he did it every month. And so when he left, when he retired and moved to Arizona, Bridget wanted to continue doing it. She enjoyed it so much. And so she's still the fourth Friday. She works someplace else now. And I'm really pleased that she wanted to continue doing that and to help us out and to meet with the clients in that way. I mentioned every year that Marnie would get everybody to commit, and then I put together a schedule, and this is the month, first Monday, second Monday, so on and so forth, and there's your name and the dates that you the month the monthly dates that you will deliver. And then there's always instructions that are pretty seldom ever change, but they're from the same instructions you would get from the Meals on Wheels program directly. I want to tell a few things about some things that people have shared, things that they wanted that have been good, things that have happened with clients. We don't stay there. We pretty much, see them, give them the meal, and greet them. They often ask about the weather that day, and so on. This is a special week because we found out from Joe Erickson, who I think delivered last Thursday or so, that one of our clients turns 101 next Sunday. So I will see her. I delivered twice this week, so I'll see her at least once, maybe twice this week. So I remember last year when she turned 100, and she's just, I'm going to say, a little old lady, but I say that with a lot of respect. And her living room was balloons and flowers and, big happy birthday and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that'll happen for a while. She had those balloons and so on for months. So she's going to be 101. We had one who turned 105 in her home, and the mayor went and visited her actually before she eventually passed. But she was also a little old lady, and when we started delivering to her, Dave Larson, David's dad, Dave Larson was one of our really good volunteers. He told me that that little old lady had worked for him at Kreiser's when he was in charge there at Kreiser's, and so he knew her from then. There was a case where a client had fallen in her home, and the volunteer couldn't get in the house. We do the knock, we do the doorbell. Now we have their phone numbers right here on our schedule, so we can also call and or leave a message for them. But if we can't raise a client to a locked door, we call right away. We call Meals on Wheels and let them know, and then they have an emergency, a family contact, whatever that they call. And in this case, they were not able to raise the client, and they called, and help came eventually. We don't have to wait for the help. They don't require that for us. There was a little old man named Don who had a parrot. We always delivered to his back door, and I never talked to him about that. I never really knew about the parrot, although I saw a parrot cage in his back room there. But some people, I think, visited with him about the parrot, and they were kind of concerned. About a year ago, he did need to move out of his home, so we don't know what happened with the parrot, and I'm not sure Meals on Wheels would know either. There was a retired Augie professor who lived in our route in the McKinnon area, and he was out shoveling his sidewalk. I'm reading what was written. When we delivered one winter day and our granddaughter was along, I told Maddie he had told me he was going to live to be 100, and she asked, "How does he know that?" I explained his great attitude and the fact that he was staying active were good signs. Someone said, just visiting with so many who need to talk and have someone listen. We're very often the only person that they see that day. I mean, many of them have family around who are their support people and so on, but maybe they're working or whatever. Okay, Warren DeCoo. He contacted me a couple years ago after I'd put out a plea for needing more people, and he said, I want to do it. He said, I'm working, but he said, my employer is very committed to community volunteerism. And I've asked if I could do that as my lunch hour, and employer said absolutely. And so Warren has been doing it now for several years, and also trades sometimes days when he sees somebody in the email who needs someone to cover their day. So Warren wrote, all I have to say is delivering isn't a job or work. It's just an enjoyable time where I get more out of the clients than they get out of me delivering. And I think that's really a big reason why so many of us do it for as long as we do. They are inspirational in a time in their life that isn't easy. Ron was one of those clients. He's recently moved to be close to his son, but he was a really great person and fun to deliver to. I worked with him for many years, and we shared a lot of good stories together. At 91, he had a good attitude and was just enjoyable to be around. Another one, I think it was Kayla Follett sent me this one. One of our clients, who has since passed, was our family dentist for many years before he retired. When we started delivering Meals on Wheels to him, I introduced myself, and he remembered our family and asked about them nearly every month thereafter. That was always a highlight for me, and I looked forward to delivering to him. Ruth Perry says, if you need a compliment, deliver to Phyllis. Every time I get to her door, she declares, this is the lady with the pretty hair. So now y'all look at Ruth again. When I deliver when I deliver any place, I'll do a couple knocks, or if I'm using a doorbell, I'll go 2 times. I'll press it 2 times. I just always do that. And this same Phyllis, now she says, I knew it was you. Ruth also shared, Ruth and Rod also deliver for the medical auxiliary Meals on Wheels route. And Ruth has done that for years and helped coordinate that and so on. She was delivering with another woman, and that woman's 4-year-old daughter was along that day. And she insisted on carrying the cold meal. And when she climbed back into her car seat, she would state either, that lady could go to High B, or that lady could not go to High B. So Ruth says that's a 4-year-old assessment of need. And Ruth often had assistance from her grandchildren. That's a great thing to do, is to take grandchildren along, and it's more easily done, in the summer when they're not in school, but even the younger ones. Ruth said, I often had assistance from my grandchildren. As we delivered to one couple who lived near St. Mary's Church, Ellie, who was about 9, declared that those people are you and Papa when we deliver to you sometime. And so Ruth said, I think these illustrations show how important it is to involve younger generation in the process. A few years back, when our grandson was here from the Twin Cities for about a week or so, and it was my time to deliver, and he went with me, and he just thought it was awesome. So, like I said, I provide the schedule. Our route is one of the best in town, I think. It's south of downtown, starts around 26th Street. It's kind of the north border. Minnesota Avenue is kind of the west border. It goes down, we go down to 41st or a little beyond, past Ace or whatever, depending on where the clients live. And we go over to Cliff Avenue and beyond. We have some clients beyond Cliff Avenue, but not past 229. So we're just kind of a nice rectangle in that area, and most of us pick up the meals at Hope Lutheran, which is at 25th and Cliff, and they're one of the sites where you can pick up the meals. And that's convenient for a lot of us because it's right there next as a part of our route, actually. So when Sally asked me if I would do this, she did mention, she said, I know you're always looking for people, to have the names of new volunteers or whatever. So I will say this is an appeal. It really is. For some of you to start thinking about doing this in the future, and or talk to your friends or neighbors. You can deliver. See, what I'd like to have is a wait list like I had last year. I had a wait list for 2 spots, and I didn't know who or when that would be, and come January I had 2 spots that I had to fill, people who needed to step away from delivering anymore. You could drive alone. like I do. Jack helps me if there's some bad streets or something. But if it's really bad, they don't expect us to go out there and slip and slide and fall and stuff like that. Or it could be a two-person team with a spouse or a friend or a coworker. And then if you have an employer who is interested in that community volunteerism, that's a good thing to try to get going. And I told you about the area that we cover. The Meals on Wheels homebound clients appreciate the meals brought to them and the volunteers who bring the meals with smiles and daily greetings. The blessings you bring with that hot meal come back multiplied as you realize the small effort it takes to provide such an important service to others. An hour and a half. I will share that I happen to know that Rod Perry and Bob Tower, they have a day that they cover together, and their goal, in addition to delivering the meals, is to be the first ones to bring the bags back to the, you know. That happened to me once, but I wasn't trying. But, you know, as long as they're doing it safely, that's okay. Any questions?
Do you have to be homebound to get it? I mean, you can still get out and about a little bit, can't you?
Oh, yeah.
There's no regulations.
Well, she asked if you have to be homebound. The social worker from the center works with the clients, the new clients, and so on. And we, you know, have actually let them know sometimes if we think somebody has a need or something we've noticed with a client. But I saw there one lady who's not on there anymore. I used to see her once in a while at Hy-Vee. So yeah, there are people that some are still independent, but for one reason. You know, we've had some men who have lost their wife, and they, you know, maybe the daughter thinks it'd be a good idea if they had some nutritious meals, at least one a day, and set it up. I'm not sure what the guidelines are. I'm not speaking for Meals on Wheels. Actually, I'm speaking for what we do as a team. How many meals? Recently, we've had about 14 houses, and about 17 meals. A few of our clients are, you know, like married couples, where we just take 2 meals in, and so on. And when COVID hit, they didn't stop. They kept going. They weren't going to leave people in a lurch in their homes. And they started providing the plastic shopping bags. And so we've continued to use that, because we used to use like a tub and carry it in, but the bags are more convenient. They're not as environmentally good, but they are more convenient. Well, Sally also asked me to mention something about the grocery cart out here. That says Feeding South Dakota on it, and I always thought of it as, I always took the stuff to the food pantry, which originally was downtown, and I think I kind of started doing that on my own. I'm not sure how that got started, but now they're in the big facility out on Northwest Westport, and Feeding South Dakota, I have just a couple things from them. Donated food is a critical part of our ability to fight hunger. Donations help to provide nourishing meals for people, and a little bit makes a big impact. The cart is pretty full right now of bags, and generally I look through them before I take it out there. When I take it out there, I just back up to their big delivery door, and they bring me a grocery cart. We put them in there, and they go and they weigh it and take off the weight of the cart and give us a receipt of like 80 pounds or whatever that weighs. And I also sometimes take some cash
because there are a few PW circles who pass an envelope around and ask for people to donate if they'd like. Otherwise, I've not taken checks or any other donations, but you can always donate to Feeding South Dakota and also to Meals on Wheels through the Active Generations Center. I do check through before I take a load out because sometimes there are some expired cans. There can't be anything perishable in there. Recently there was a loaf of bread and a bag of English muffins, and so I had to take those out because you can't take them out there. They have a food pantry room, little grocery room out there that they'd used, and that's where our donations always went on the shelves there, so people could actually shop themselves. But COVID happened, and they had to close. And since then, that room hasn't been big enough to accommodate all of the clients that come through. And so now they're doing the mobile food pantry. And that's where our donations go, is for the mobile food pantries. So I looked through, recently there was some big bags of clothes and so on, and I gave them to Jana, and she was going to give them to Peaceworks to see if they could.
We took it to Church on the Street worship.
Okay. Oh, good. Did you sort through it? Or just?
We took everything.
Good.
Absolutely everything.
Yeah, Jana was pretty sure that Peaceworks would find a place for those things to go. I didn't go through them, but there was like 3 bags and a beautiful backpack.
Yes.
Very sturdy and so on. So again, no perishable foods. They prefer not expired foods. They'd like you to think about what you'd serve your own family. I sometimes take a Hy-Vee ad. I'm not promoting Hy-Vee here today, by the way, but I do shop there, and sometimes I'll take an ad and I'll just look at the things, you know, they might be 2 for something or whatever and so on, and I'll pick up a few and have them in my back seat for a while, and another grocery time I might pick up a few more, and then I'll just bring that bag over. That's kind of how I do my donating. Doesn't make a big splash in my laundry bill or grocery bill, but that works for me anyway. The most needed food items, I just printed this off of their website, peanut butter and jelly. They're saying now more health conscious items, whole grain cereals, hot and cold, boxed meals, hamburger, chicken, tuna helper, canned chicken or tuna in water, which is mostly what you see now, I think, on the grocery shelves. Low sodium or low sugar canned pasta and sauces. So that takes looking at it a little more. I hadn't thought about that, but they're being a little more specific. They'll take anything, you know, but they're specifically listing these things so that people start thinking that way. Whole wheat dry pasta and whole grain rice. Low sodium canned vegetables, canned fruits in light syrup, and low sodium or light soups and stews. So anytime you want to put something in the Feeding South Dakota grocery cart, I'll get it out there when I have enough that I want to load in my car and drive out. And so thank you all for listening. Any other questions? Sorry.
Are there any other questions? Well, we have actually gone past our normal time. Well, we started late, so we're in good shape. But anyway, next week we have Coffee Fellowship. The week after that is all about the process of voting in Minnehaha County, and maybe a little information about Lincoln County. We have somebody that works directly with that on our team, so she's going to be sharing that. I just go in, I know by name the people that are in my precinct, and well,
good to see you again, Mrs. Little. Well, nice to see you. And I go and do my voting, and then I leave. But there's a lot of behind the things, and so you'll get an idea of their schedule. So, anyway, thank you.
Who went to the AirPods? I think that was a wonderful idea, whoever did that.
The AirPods, I don't have any. Maybe Jacob had, I don't, Noah does that. Our So, thank you. Turn. Kim has some papers. She's the one going to be speaking about the elections. She is going to hand those out. If you have any questions ahead of time, she would like to be able to process the questions and then answer them so that, yeah. Anyway, so get the questions from her. If you want to run around and give them to people, pass out some papers.